Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear Buddhis. Where is it? Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class. It's from Canto 2, Chapter 7. Chapter 7 is entitled Scheduled Incarnations with Specific Functions. This morning we're doing text 32. So without further ado, we'll start the class. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadari, Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadari, Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana, Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana, Jamunatira Vandachari, Jamunatira Vandachari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari, Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadari, Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana, Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana, Jamunatira Vandachari, Jamunatira Vandachari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Om Vishnupad Paramhamsa Parivāja Astottara Satasishimāris Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Paramhamsa Parivāja Astottara Satasishimāris Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Radha Gadadha Shiva Shari Gaur Bhaktavinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhana Ki Jai. Shri Vṛndāvana Dham Ki Jai. Shri Mathura Dham Ki Jai. Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai. Ganga Mayi ki jai. Jamuna Mayi ki jai. Tulsi Devi ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai. Samaveda Bhaktavinda ki jai. Nitai Gaur Prabharande. Hari Hari Bo. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the lotus feet of Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Samadhi Bhakti Deva Swami Niti Namini. Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Siddhartha Vishnu Gauranga Shakti. Narayana Namaskritya Narum Chevam Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jajam Udirayat Nashta Praiswa Bhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhavati Uttamastuke Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. So, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 7, and Text 32. Hare Krishna. Okay. Gopair makhe pratihate vraja-viplavāya deve bhivarṣati paśūn kṛpayā rirakṣuḥ dhartocchilīndhram iva sapta-dināni sapta varṣo mahīdhram anaghaika-kare salīlam gopair makhe pratihate vraja-viplavāya deve bhivarṣati paśūn kṛpayā rirakṣuḥ dhartocchilīndhram iva sapta-dināni sapta varṣo mahīdhram anaghaika-kare salīlam gopair makhe pratihate vraja-viplavāya deve bhivarṣati paśūn kṛpayā rirakṣuḥ dhartocchilīndhram iva sapta-dināni sapta varṣo mahīdhram anaghaika-kare salīlam. Hare Krishna.
Gopair makhe pratihate vraja-viplavāya deva bhivarṣati paśūn kṛpayā rirakṣuḥ dhartocchilīndhram iva sapta-dināni sapta varṣo mahīdhram anaghaika-kare salīlam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Gopair makhe pratihate vraja-viplavāya deve bhivarṣati paśūn kṛpayā rirakṣuḥ dhartocchilīndhram sapta-dināni sapta varṣo mahīdhram anaghaika-kare salīlam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else? Okay. So we do word for word now. Gopair by the cowherd men. Makhe in offering a sacrifice to the King of Heaven. Pratihate being hampered. Vraja-viplavāya for devastating the whole existence of Braj-bhumi, the land of Krishna's pastimes. Deve, by the King of Heaven, and bhivarṣati, having poured down heavy rain. Paśūn, the animals. Kṛpayā, by causeless mercy upon them. rirakṣuḥ desired to protect them. Dharta held up. Dhartocchilīndhram uprooted as an umbrella. Eva, exactly like that. Sapta-dināni, continuously for 7 days. Sapta-vasha, although he was only 7 years old. Mahīdhram, the Govardhana hill. Anaghaika-kare, without being tired. Anaghaika-kare, in one hand only. Salīlam, playfully. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. When the cowherd men of Vṛndāvana, under the instruction of Kṛṣṇa, stopped offering sacrifice to the heavenly king Indra, the whole tract of land known as vraja was threatened with being washed away by constant heavy rains for 7 days. Lord Kṛṣṇa, out of his causeless mercy upon the inhabitants of Vraj, held up the hill known as Govardhana with one hand only, although he was only 7 years old. He did this to protect the animals from the onslaught of water. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Children play with an umbrella generally known as a frog's umbrella. And Lord Kṛṣṇa, when he was only Lord Kṛṣṇa, when he was only 7 years old, could snatch the great hill known as the Govardhana Parvata at Vṛndāvana and hold it for 7 days continuously with one hand, just to protect the animals and the inhabitants of Vṛndāvana from the wrath of Indra, the heavenly king, who had been denied sacrificial offerings by the inhabitants of Rajbhumi. Factually, there is no need of offering sacrifices to the demigods for their services if one is engaged in the service of the Supreme Lord. Sacrifices recommended in the Vedic literatures for satisfaction of the demigods are a sort of inducement to the sacrificers to realize the existence of higher authorities. The demigods are engaged by the Lord as controlling deities of material affairs. And according to the Bhagavad Gita, when a demigod is worshipped, the process is accepted as the indirect method for worshiping the Supreme Lord. But when the Supreme Lord is worshipped directly, there is no need of worshiping the demigods or offering them sacrifices as recommended in particular circumstances. Lord Kṛṣṇa therefore advised the inhabitants of Rajbhumi not to offer any sacrifices to the heavenly king Indra. But Indra, not knowing Lord Kṛṣṇa in Rajbhumi, was angry at the inhabitants of Rajbhumi and tried to avenge the offense. But competent as the Lord was, he saved the inhabitants and animals of Rajbhumi by his personal energy and proved definitely that anyone directly engaged as a devotee of the Supreme Lord need not satisfy any other demigods, however great, even to the level of Brahma or Shiva. Thus, this incident definitely proved, without a doubt, that Lord Kṛṣṇa is the personality of Godhead, and that he was so in all circumstances, as a child on the lap of his mother, as a boy 7 years old, and as an old man 125 years of age. In either case, he was never on the level of the ordinary man. And even in his advanced age, he appeared as a young boy 16 years old. These are particular features of the transcendental body of the Lord. Om Gyanati Virandasya, Gyana Gyana Shimakaya, Chakshu Umilitam Jena Tasma Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale, Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadhatikam. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Peshnaya Bhutale, Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namini. Namaste Saraswati Devi Govardhana Pracharini Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshitarino. Namo Mahabharanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namni Gurachite Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. The English translation again. When the cowherdmen of Vṛndāvana, under the instruction of Kṛṣṇa, stopped offering sacrifice to the heavenly king, Indra, the whole tract of land known as Vraj was threatened with being washed away by constant heavy rains for 7 days. Lord Kṛṣṇa, out of his causeless mercy upon the inhabitants of Vraj, held up the hill known as Govardhana with one hand only. And although he was only 7 years old, he did this to protect the animals from the onslaught of water. Hare Krishna. So, Krishna is very merciful. From just this translation, we can see how loving Krishna is. That if you learn to love Krishna, so much protection will come. And so this instance, or this particular pastime, was created by Krishna for a certain cause. One, to show the residents of Rajbhumi that he's always there with them. Now, in distress, one becomes quite fit and ready to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, verbally, by calling his name. Maharani Draupadi did it in the court of Dhritarashtra after he had been assaulted, initially by Dushasana, the brother of Duryodhana, in this dice game that they were playing with the Pandavas and cheating the Pandavas. They wanted to bother the Pandavas' wife also. Now, when Draupadi called for Kṛṣṇa, so many things happened earlier. His hair was pulled, he was dragged, so much abuse right in front of the Pandavas who had lost the bet according to the dice game that they were playing. They couldn't help their wonderful wife. But when they got to the point where they wanted to give Draupadi the ultimate disgrace, wanted to strip him naked in front of all the men, in front of all the older people, in front of all the soldiers, the guards, and Dhritarashtra himself, then he tried to fight. He couldn't get anywhere with Dushasana. Dushasana was much, several times stronger. But when he called in the name of Kṛṣṇa, then all her problems got solved. And Kṛṣṇa later on told her, when she complained to Kṛṣṇa, well, Kṛṣṇa, you knew what Dushasana was doing to me right from the beginning. Why didn't you come? Kṛṣṇa responded, you did not call me. When you called me, I came. So in the residents of Vṛndāvana, when they called on Kṛṣṇa or when they came to Kṛṣṇa because of what Indra was doing, about to drown them and flood the whole place, destroy everything in Rajbhumi, they went to Kṛṣṇa. And then Kṛṣṇa performed his pastime by raising Govardhana hill, just like a little boy raises an umbrella, frog's umbrella. This is the way which kids sometimes play. And so the whole thing was done by Kṛṣṇa in a very playful way, which shows just how powerful the Lord is. He is unlimitedly powerful. And it makes all the sense in the world to submit and surrender and be in the corner of a personality that is unlimitedly powerful. It's a no-brainer, literally. That's what exactly we have to do. And when somebody is unlimitedly powerful, tells you do this, do that, you better do it, because it is your own advantage. So that's the situation we are in also. But when these cowherd men of Vṛndāvana, they had stopped sacrifices to the heavenly king Indra. So which means they were doing sacrifices for the heavenly king Indra, in order that Indra, who had been given charge of the rains by Kṛṣṇa or by Lord Vishnu, would send rains so that their vegetables would grow nicely, and also the cows would be fed wonderfully. Because when the grass grows well, because of the rains, the cows get fed nicely. They graze, and then they are also able to drink water because there's abundance of water. So that was the arrangement for quite a few years under Indra, like that. And Indra was very much attached to the sacrifices given to him. But Kṛṣṇa wanted to do a number of things at once. He wanted to bring down the ego of Lord Indra. And that's why he went to his father or foster father, Nanda Maharaj, and asked about what the cowherd men were getting ready to do. And Nanda Maharaj explained to Kṛṣṇa that this is what we do every year. At this time, we do sacrifices to give to Indra because he gives us rain, and this is how we are able to subsist or live nicely. But because Kṛṣṇa's plan was to help Indra out of his false ego, he began to have a counter argument with his father, or counter debate, not that he was fighting his father. Nanda Maharaj was very much in love with Kṛṣṇa. Therefore, whatever Kṛṣṇa had to say, Nanda Maharaj would not just shoo him off, oh, you're just a little child, you don't understand. This is what we do, and we do that, and he gives us rain, and we are fine. Rather than that, Nanda Maharaj listened to Kṛṣṇa's argument, albeit Kama Mimamsa, as is described. We won't go into great detail about it, but out of love, Nanda Maharaj listened to Kṛṣṇa and decided to do what Kṛṣṇa had asked them to do. Don't do sacrifices for Indra, but worship Govardhana hill. And he made a case about so much supply that Govardhana hill gives to them for their subsistence, the residents of Vṛndāvana. So he won the argument that way. But he won the argument easily also, not even because of wisdom so much, but more importantly to us, because Nanda Maharaj loved Kṛṣṇa so much that he wanted to do what Kṛṣṇa wanted. That's what we are shooting for. We want to get to a point where we love Kṛṣṇa so much that when Kṛṣṇa says what he says, we will be ready to do. Now, fortunately for us, he has said so much, albeit in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, but he said so much to Arjuna. Bhagavatam, also from Sukadeva Goswami. So we got two books, very important books. One said by Kṛṣṇa, Bhagavad Gita, and one said by Kṛṣṇa's pure devotee, Srimad Bhagavatam, to Maharaj Pariksit. So Indra threatened because, oh, you're going to not give me any sacrifice, or watch what I do. So he takes what little power, comparatively, compared to the Lord, that Kṛṣṇa or Vishnu had given him. And now he decides, I'm going to wash away, kill everybody in Vraj. But this is where Kṛṣṇa showed he will always be on the corner of his devotee. He said, Kunteya Patijanihi Name Bhakta Pranashati. You declared in chapter 9 of Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna, you declared, my devotee will never perish. And as it turned out, the residents of Vraj never perished. He lifted Govardhana hill, and as the Goswamis explained, Govardhana hill was all too ecstatic. He was very ecstatic because of the touch of Kṛṣṇa. Kṛṣṇa is so powerful, just by touching his pure devotee goes into ecstasy. He lifted, so he was doing so many things at once. He lifted Govardhana hill. He asked them, the residents of Rajabhumi, come here, bring your animals, bring all your possessions. And they had the darshan constantly of Kṛṣṇa for 7 days and 7 nights, and nobody felt hungry or tired. In the meantime, Indra was pouring rains like anything. Thunder, lightning, so much. And that was hitting Govardhana. But because Kṛṣṇa's little finger of his left hand was at the bottom of Govardhana Hill, holding Govardhana Hill up. Govardhana was in ecstasy through all of these things that should have been more difficult. He wasn't in any difficulty. He was in ecstasy. Govardhana Hill. Now, for our own imagination, we'll see if this much rain is coming and the mountain had been lifted up and the residents with their properties and the animals are under Govardhana Hill, then we would expect that some of the water will flow onto the bottom of Govardhana Hill. If that much flood is going on in the area. Kṛṣṇa took care of that too. Kṛṣṇa summoned Ananta, the great Balaram in a snake form, to come and literally put himself around the perimeter of the place where they were at, of Govardhana Hill. And so Ananta is so huge that no amount of flood water could go over Ananta's body and come to the bottom of Govardhana Hill where the residents were. The residents did not notice that Ananta was there, but this is what he did. Kṛṣṇa did. And then he also summoned his favorite weapon, in the manner of speaking. Maybe it is a favorite, I don't know. But Sudarshan Chakra was also summoned. And Sudarshan Chakra is nothing that Kṛṣṇa says to do that he wouldn't do. So he started at another place, again, unknown to the residents who are under Govardhana Hill. He started drying up with intense heat, drying up the flood. And Sudarshan Chakra was drying up the flood faster than Indra could pour rain and flood the place. Therefore, the level of the flood, as they were underneath the Govardhana Hill, the level of water kept going down and down and down and down. And Indra noticed that. Whatever he did with these Samvataka clouds, these clouds that pour the rain, are the clouds that actually devastate planets, universes, as they're called upon to do when the time of annihilation comes. As we well know, here in this material world, there is creation, there's maintenance, and there's annihilation. And that is even true of the planets and the universes. So annihilation time is when Sudarshan Chakra, the Samvataka clouds are called on to do that. So they can wipe out a whole planet. The Samvataka clouds can wipe out the whole planet. Indra was absolutely certain that they can, in fact, wipe out a small tract of land compared to the whole planet, Vrajbhumi. And that's why, out of his being annoyed about not being given sacrifice, he asked that Samvataka clouds do that. But then right in front of him, right in front of Indra, Kṛṣṇa was under Govardhana Hill and at the same time breaking down the ego of Indra by letting him look at the flood and see the flood coming down. No matter how much rain the Samvataka clouds poured, the level of the flood was coming down and down and down until the point where now, when the rain fell on the ground, the Sudarshan Chakra dried it up immediately. And so Indra kept pouring water through the Samvataka clouds, and nothing was happening as far as flooding. So he got to the point where Indra gave up. And then he also came to understand the things that had followed since the attempt to flood the place and destroy the place had to be done by someone far superior to him. And that's when he realized that that little boy, 7 years old, was in fact the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And there was no point in his position as Indra to try to fight him. And so, out of the causeless mercy of the inhabitants of Vraj were saved. They called on Kṛṣṇa, therefore we should remember to call on Kṛṣṇa at all times. We should feel fortunate that we are in Kṛṣṇa's corner. All the residents in the spiritual world are in Kṛṣṇa's corner. And if we do that, we'll also be protected automatically. Because he said, my devotee will not perish. Now, the other point that's important for us to remember is Indra is a demigod. And Kṛṣṇa did not want the residents of Vṛndāvana to serve the demigod. We could respect them, but our puja should go to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is important. There is no need of offering sacrifices to demigods because the demigods are dependent on Lord Vishnu. So if we offer sacrifice to Lord Vishnu, then Vishnu is already the demigod's master. And if he gets sacrifices on behalf of everyone, the demigods have no say. In fact, they become satisfied. Therefore, we are Vaishnavas, followers of Lord Vishnu. Our sacrifices also should be to Lord Vishnu, according to the Lord's instructions. We should offer respects and dhanavats to the spiritual master as a representative of Kṛṣṇa and also as practice for us about how to serve Kṛṣṇa wonderfully. It helps us with our humility, which we did not really embark on when we were in the spiritual world and we were envious of Kṛṣṇa. Now Kṛṣṇa has given us someone, a very committed person to Kṛṣṇa, the bona fide spiritual master, for two reasons. One, we don't have the requisite eyes to see Kṛṣṇa directly, but we can see the spiritual master. Two, the spiritual master has been given so much knowledge, heavy knowledge and realization to teach what we should do and what we should not do in this world in order to be favorable in the eyes of Kṛṣṇa. And so the spiritual master does that. And then because Kṛṣṇa has empowered the spiritual master to be his representative, then we offer worship to the spiritual master. And that's why, especially in Harrisburg, when we finish the lecture, the program is a little different from the way it is in different temples who are full-time temples. We still do what's called Guru Puja, worship of the Guru. Kṛṣṇa says, Mad Bhakta Puja Abhyadika. Mad Bhakta Puja. You will do puja to my pure representative. I am more satisfied than even doing puja to me directly. That's why we do Guru Puja to none other than the one who deserves it the most, His Divine Grace, HG Pariksit Swami, Srila Prabhupada. So when we worship the Guru, Kṛṣṇa is pleased. Dashat Paśūn Bhagavat Prasad. There is a direct definition, but there's also another definition of this particular Dashat Paśūn Bhagavat Prasad. The Srila Prabhupada explained. He says, when Guru is pleased, Kṛṣṇa is pleased. And so Guru's instructions are important. And what does Guru say? Serve the devotees. So when we begin to serve the devotees, then Guru's orders are obeyed. Guru is happy, and when Guru is happy, Kṛṣṇa is happy. After all, we are all creatures of Kṛṣṇa. So when we serve each other, then the relationship becomes wonderful between each other. So the Lord is always there for us. The Lord is very competent. So in this past time, he proved to Indra. Indra finally had to come down. And at first, because he had offended, Indra had offended the residents of Rajbhumi, threatening to kill them like that. When they came out of the bottom of Govardhana hill, Indra came to see Kṛṣṇa to beg. At first, Kṛṣṇa ignored him. Kṛṣṇa was 7 years old. Kṛṣṇa ignored him. And Indra knew that his master had been offended like that. And his master's favorite devotees were almost threatened with death. And so what did Indra do? Well, what he did was quite strategic. Two things. One, he got Surabhi, the cow. Kṛṣṇa loves cows. So he took his situation, basically confessed to Surabhi, the cow, what he had done to Kṛṣṇa's Kṛṣṇa's devotees. And he begged for Surabhi to speak to Kṛṣṇa on his behalf, on the behalf of Indra. Mm. So when we get into situations where we know we ourselves are wrong and we have offended somebody that's a high personality, one of the ways to do that is if we're not, especially if we're not being given any face at all, because the person is upset with us and we know we're the ones that are wrong, we can always go to someone who has a very good relationship with the person we have offended and let them speak on our behalf, especially the person in authority. And this is what Indra did. The second thing is also that they perform a nice puja. We do that sometimes. We bathe the deities. So Indra, had his Airavata elephant take water from a sacred river, the Jamuna, and pour it as Indra, finally, when Krishna began to listen to him after Surabhikata, when Indra also started offering prayers directly then. But it took the Surabhika to open the way for Indra to even get heard at all by Krishna. So he offered wonderful prayers, and also Airavata, the elephant, his elephant, also poured nice, they did a literally abhishek to Krishna, all with good intention. So the pastime is a wonderful pastime, and what it teaches us is, and Krishna actually talked to Indra at that. He said, in many, many, many words, he just said, I give you what you have. The opportunity to serve should be the first thing. Don't get too big in your shoes and saying that I control rain, therefore I do what I want. And if you don't do what I want you to do, then I'm going to disturb you, even threaten your life. So Krishna reminded Indra that the power that Indra had, came from him, Lord Vishnu. And so we also should understand, this is also one reason why we worship Krishna and we respect the demigods. They have functions that keep us going on this planet at the material level. Therefore, we respect them. And if we have to do anything with demigods, you pray to them for bhakti. Don't go to Shiva to ask for material things that are only going to be with you temporarily, and Krishna will come as death and take it all away. Go to Lord Shiva. He is the premier Vaishnava, and pray to Lord Shiva to help you to be a better devotee. That he will always be happy to do. And he himself likes to do that way more than giving any material things to anybody. And he expressed that in the Shastra. He expressed that by his actions. Even when the prachitas, the princes, sons of Prachina Bahisha, left the kingdom to go to do pujas, just do austerities, just to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That was their aim. But as they were on the way, Lord Shiva himself met up with them. And he gave them wonderful prayers to say to the Supreme Personality of Godhead during the austerities. They were going to perform austerities in the water. The important point I want to make here is that the prachetas did not ask Lord Shiva to come to them, but because they were thinking of something in bhakti, Lord Shiva himself appeared and gave them ways in which that bhakti could be, but at least he gave them prayers in which they could use for that function they were going to do, for that service. So that says Lord Shiva is very, very much connected to devotional service, so that when devotees want to do something for the Lord and they ask for the help of Lord Shiva will be more than willing to help. Therefore, we should not go to Lord Shiva, or for that matter, other demigods, for material things. We should ask to serve. Ways in which we can serve. He can give us, he's also power, quite a bit of power by the mercy of the Lord to help us in service. When the gopis prayed to the goddess Katyayani, they wanted Krishna as the paramour. That's who they wanted. That's what they wanted. And so if we want something from demigods, it should be connected to Krishna consciousness, not just material things. That's what we have to remember. So in Bhagavad Gita, it's also supported, the point about demigod worship. Actually, Krishna says to Arjuna, those who worship other gods, demigods, with faith, actually worship only me. Ye pyanya devata bhakta yajante shraddhata anvita. Te pimam evaya kanteya yajantya vidi purvakam. Those who are devotees of other gods and who worship them with faith actually worship only me, O son of Kunti, except that they do so in a wrong way. They should worship Krishna, but they worship demigods. Demigods' subsistence. The demigods able to do anything is from the mercy of Krishna. So they do worship the demigods, those who do that. Krishna says they do it indirectly. We should directly worship Krishna based on the instructions of the spiritual master, the bona fide spiritual master. And everybody else that speaks just takes what, and again, this is the instructions from Lord Chaitanya, takes what the spiritual master has said, and the spiritual master preaches consistent with Krishna's words in the Shastra. Therefore, Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra are all consistent in transmitting Krishna consciousness to everybody. To demigods, we shouldn't be about worshiping them directly. We should respect them. We worship the demigods, we do so in a wrong way. Krishna does not approve of it. So, another point also is when it comes to death, which is something that everybody will face. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, text 25, Yanti deva vata devan, pitri janti pitri vataha, bhutani janti bhuteja, ma yanti madhyajano prima. Prabhupada says this particular text and says it with such enthusiasm. Madhyajano prima. Those who worship demigods will take birth among the demigods. Those who worship the ancestors will go to the ancestors. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings, and those who worship me will live with me. So, basically, our desires are not stopped or sabotaged by the Lord, but we should be intelligent enough to place our desires in an area or in a situation that will actually save us and take us out of this terrible material world. The demigods are not in the spiritual world. They are in the material world, albeit the higher planets, but they are in the material world. Birth, death, old age, and disease occur there too. So if we worship demigods, Krishna says not to do that, but if we do, then that's where we're going. The planet of the demigods. Extended life, extended sense gratification, but anxiety never goes away. That's everywhere in the material world. So wherever our minds are at, that's what's going to happen to us at the time of death. Therefore, our minds should be on Krishna by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And Krishna also says, whatever we do, whatever we eat, whatever we offer, whatever we give away, that is, whatever gifts that we give, and whatever austerities that we perform, just like Adama Muni performed, he did that only for Krishna. And Krishna says, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me. Here's where our happiness is, when we offer all to Krishna. Yat kurusi, yat ashtasi, yat juhosi dadasi, yat tapasya sikanteya, tat kurusvamat apanam. That is the Sanskrit for whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, whatever austerities you perform, you do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me. O son of Kunti, Arjuna, he represents us. So when Krishna is saying, O son of Kunti, do that as an offering to me, urging him to fight as an offering to Krishna, because he was on the battlefield, we should also be offering everything to Krishna on our battlefield. Life is a battlefield for us too. We are also going through our own battle of Kurukshetra, even though we have different instruments for fighting compared to the Kshatriyas on there. But we face all kinds of situations, and life is an uphill struggle. So it's the duty of everyone to mold his life in such a way that they will never forget Kṛṣṇa in any circumstance. And the easiest way is to constantly be thinking of Kṛṣṇa, hearing about Kṛṣṇa, chanting Kṛṣṇa's name. And then we'll be in that situation where we will not forget Kṛṣṇa. So the conclusion is, the most intelligent thing to do is to stay in Kṛṣṇa's corner, to be a servant of a servant of a servant. To stay in Kṛṣṇa's corner means whatever Kṛṣṇa says to do, that's what we should do. And serve Kṛṣṇa throughout this life, so that in the next life, we will still be serving Kṛṣṇa with even more facility, because there's way more facility in the spiritual world compared to the material world. And there's no anxiety, no need to worry about anything. We think of things in our life here, material life, every day in order to keep going, to satisfy the body. In the spiritual world, nobody thinks of that. Nobody thinks of how to go on in life. I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do that. And then the bills come and we have to pay those bills. Nobody pays any bills in the spiritual world. Just think about that. A place where you don't have to pay any bills. A place where you don't have to pay any taxes. A place where you don't need any education. This is all there. Knowledge is in the soul. What much better place to be? What other place can compare to that? So, as Kṛṣṇa said in this, stay away from worshiping demigods. Because if we worship demigods, what they offer in return is only temporary. That's why Kṛṣṇa made an example of the residents in Brajbhumi by telling them to stop serving the demigod Indra and serve Govardhana, because Govardhana was a pure devotee of the Lord. Even though he used material reasons, Kṛṣṇa used material reasons to convince Nanda Maharaj. But Nanda Maharaj's love for Kṛṣṇa also compelled him to listen to what Kṛṣṇa was doing. Kṛṣṇa was saying, and actually go by Kṛṣṇa's instruction to him. He was only 7 years old, but his father listened to him because at 7 years old, or younger than 7, or older than 7, he's a supreme personality. The demigods will only offer us something temporary. They will not be able to release us from the material world. They can't do that. It's only through Guru and Kṛṣṇa that we can be released from the material world. So engage everything in Kṛṣṇa's service. That's called Yukta Vairagya. Anaktaksya Vishayan Yatatam Upayunjata. Nembande Kṛṣṇa Sambandi Yukta Vairagyam Uchate. So that's in the Nectar Devotion. So Yukta Vairagyam, just give everything to serve Kṛṣṇa. When we do that, then our promotion to the spiritual world will be guaranteed. Therefore, eternal happiness will also be guaranteed. So this is the situation we're in. We're fortunate already, on condition that we listen to Guru, serve Guru, so Kṛṣṇa will be pleased. And most important for us in our situation is to serve devotees. When we serve devotees, we will begin to have a loving relationship with devotees. And with devotees loving like that, devotees will love us back. That's just natural. If you're kind to somebody, they'll be kind to you. The relationship between you and them will improve. It'll be wonderful. And by doing that, the service or the love that we develop for spiritual master will be very, very strong. And when our love for the spiritual master becomes strong, then naturally the love for Kṛṣṇa will also follow. Because if you want to hear the spiritual master, he's only talking about Kṛṣṇa. Your love for Kṛṣṇa would increase. So that's the order. Love the devotees first by serving them. Then we will learn how to love Guru. It will come automatically because Guru will be pleased with us. And when Guru is pleased with us, then Kṛṣṇa is pleased with us. And this is how we will develop Kṛṣṇa Prema, love for Kṛṣṇa. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you very much for coming. It's beginning of a week after having wonderful Panihati festival yesterday. You go on. This is our life, even in the material world. We made it quite ecstatic. All connecting to Krishna. So, dear devotees, this is the time to unmute yourself. You have comments to make, you have questions to ask, you have realizations that you want to share. You can do that now. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances, so because it's the
Hare Krishna.
proper.
Glory to the Father.
I think the important reminder in this class for me is the guru disciple relationship that has been taught quite a bit. Sometimes we take initiation and then we just operate and function in life as an initiated devotee, but we forget to think or reflect on our actions, our behaviors to see, am I really representing my spiritual master? Am I behaving, according to my spiritual master's expectations? Am I speaking? Because I think sometimes we get so caught up in being a devotee that phrase, that statement, I am a devotee, I'm initiated, I'm this, I'm that, whatever. But then we forget to connect it to the spiritual master, to the guru, to actually see, is this pleasing to my spiritual master? Am I really representing him? Am I acting in the mood of representing him? Am I behaving in that mood? Am I operating in that mode? So I think that the understanding and of what it means to have the guru disciple connection is really very important for any devotee who is walking and practicing this path, because it goes back to the child. When a child does something wrong, they don't ask the child, they ask who's the parent of the child.
Other people do that, yeah. As a parent, I helps do that.
Because, and then they say, well, the parent is not raising the child properly, the parent is being ignorant, the parent is not being strict, all kinds of stuff. The same thing with guru disciple. When the disciple is not acting according to the teacher, because I mean, disciple means what? Student, pretty much spiritual student. So it reflects on the spiritual master so much. So this was a very good reminder to us, at least, to me, to really be careful, check, if I behave this way, if I say this way, if I write this way, if I whatever this way, is this what my spiritual master would have done if he was here, or would have said, or what of this, so yeah. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. You should remember, thank you very much for your comments, that the spiritual master is a representative of Krishna. Therefore, and he's the one that's closest to us and dealing with our stuff and helping us to grow spiritually. So if we relate well to the spiritual master, or if we're doing things around, even when the spiritual master is not around, but we should think, if my spiritual master was right next to me here or watching what I do, would he approve of this? Or would she approve? The spiritual gurus also. Would he or she approve of what I'm doing? The answer is yes, then you're fine. If the answer is no, then that's your cue to stop what we're doing. We should do things, as Rupa Goswami said, that are favorable to devotional service. And those things that are unfavorable, we should reject. We should not do so. So that's very important. So we shouldn't try to make a show of being a devotee. Sometimes my spiritual master said this, some people are trying to impress others as how good they are as devotees. They forget what it is like to be a real devotee. A real devotee is humble, and they don't want any kind of praises for things that they do. They just want to serve and serve and serve to make sure all devotees are happy. That is the aim behind every devotee's service. And then we will develop love for devotees, then to Guru, and then love for Krishna. Thank you again. Dear Krishna Prabhu, I saw you raise your hand. Please unmute yourself.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Please accept my humble obeisances.
Accept mine.
All
God
praise to
is
Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhu. I hope you're feeling well, and in spite of your health, challenging health, thank you so much for this wonderful class.
Oh, no problem. I'm
Uh,
getting better.
I was
And
getting
having
updates
more
from
realizations too because of
I
what
was getting
happened.
updates from Mataji yesterday, so but I couldn't do anything for you, so I'm feeling a little bad. But anyway, thank you so much again.
No, your wishes, well wishes, all that's good enough. That's more than good enough. Hare Krishna.
Question on this topic, and
Mm,
I think it's interesting. Mataji asked that question. Probably my thoughts or the question, whatever it is on the same line. So when we
mm,
talk about serving devotees, practically, at least what I have seen is it's not possible to make everyone happy all the time, and either sometimes we are able to serve the instructions of Gurudev as per our understanding. I mean, of
mm,
course, his instructions are always absolute, but whatever best we are able to do, that is
mm.
one paradox. One time, second paradox, what the devotees or sometimes so-called devotees they're expecting from us doesn't match. So some of them will always not be so happy because just yesterday I was put in a condition or situation where
Mhm.
in spite of not being in that scenario, I was trapped into that scenario, and I know I will make somebody unhappy as I resolve that issue. And so, just I'm trying to understand how to deal with such paradoxes, practical issues when we come with dealing with devotees.
I think it's a very important point. So when you're in a situation where sometimes somebody you know will be unhappy because of what you're doing, the first thing is question your own self. Is what I'm doing the correct thing to do? You yourself said you can't satisfy everybody all of the time. Mm. That's the nature. It can't, and that's a very true statement because everybody's a conditioned soul. And conditioned souls are not pure enough. If everybody was pure, believe me, you'll be able to satisfy everybody all of the time. That's another way to look at it. You'd be able to. But, with good intentions, you'd be able to satisfy everybody. But sometimes because of the level of growth where the devotee is at, they haven't had the realizations to appreciate what you're doing. And therefore, what you're doing may be read in a different way, or that person's not grown enough spiritually to be able to even make sure that at the very least what they're acting is in a mode of goodness. Mm? And therefore they'll put you in a situation where now it seems your good intentions have now been compromised one way or the other. Since you can't always satisfy everybody all the time, and sometimes even with good intentions may be read wrongly, you come across to them in a respectful way anyway. And this Mother Mountain reminded one the statement that you made, just one-on-one conversation. The Lord is in the heart of everyone. The Lord is in the heart of everyone as a Paramatma. Therefore, when we're serving and a situation that we intend to have good results for a person is read differently, or we're trapped in a situation that is not our fault, but then somebody's going to point a negative finger at us. Still, we do the service to the best of our ability, and we relate properly, and we don't look at them animically. That means look at them like this person is bad. I don't like them, so now they become an enemy. We should never have enemies. Some people may see us as enemies to them, but we should never have enemies. If somebody seeing us as enemies to them, that's something we cannot control. We can't control somebody else's thoughts, but we can control the reaction. We can control our own thoughts, and we can control the reaction towards others, because those are all originating from us. So what originates from us should always be good. And even if we're in a situation where somebody else will see us in a bad light when our intention was good, it's only a matter of time. The Kṛṣṇa will change that. As long as we continue to serve them in other circumstances, be cordial with them, serve them, finally they'll change. And it happens all the time. All you have to do is be in one dham or particular place for a number of years, 10, 15 years, And you'll see that some devotees are acting a certain way. Now they've changed the way they're acting and are acting better. Why? Because purification goes on all the time for everybody. Those who are serious are going through purification. And those who are not serious, you also see, they're going down. It's like being in a school, in a classroom. Some people are very serious, listening to the teacher, doing everything that the teacher asks them to do. And then there are other people, when the class is going on, they're playing around. And the exams come, and what happens? Those who work very steadily and listen, they do very well. And those who didn't, they're the ones that fail. Life is like that. You get what you ask for. So you should be, and for that matter, we should always look at life in terms of what good we can do for others, and don't worry about when they don't understand what good we intend to do for them. One example that relates to this, and then we can go on. Maybe other people want to ask questions. One example that relates to this is sometimes the parent chastises the child. Does that mean the parent does not like the child? No. The parent just doesn't like what the child did that was wrong. But the parent will chastise the child. My Guru Maharaj calls that hard love. There's soft love, where they just say very nice things and do nice things. And then also hard love, which means that chastisement in order to have the person improve their nature. Now, a parent does that not because they hate the child. The parent does that to make the child see what's wrong and stay away from it. Sometimes the punishment is a reminder that I did this wrong, and that time my parent punished me, therefore I might get another punishment, and I don't want the punishment, therefore I won't do that thing. That's the simple primary childish way of thinking about it. Then when we grow older, that's why we don't go back at our parents, many of us. We grow older, we appreciate those times that we were wrong and that the parent chastised us. So therefore, the relationship between ourselves and the parent becomes very good, even though it's the same person that chastised us, and we didn't like it at the time he or she was chastising us. We grew from it. It's called wisdom. We matured. So, yeah, sometimes situations will come, people won't understand. But if you've done the right thing, you go on and you maintain a cordial relationship at the very least with them. You get spiritual credits anyway if you do the right thing, even if they didn't appreciate it. Hare Krishna.
Hare Kṛṣṇa. Thank you so much, Guru. I think I needed to hear this morning to keep myself uplifted. And yeah, the situations are not new because over the periods I get trapped into those situations many times. But I'm just trying to improve my response every time. So that's so much helpful today. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Right. Glory to Guru and Gauranga. Hare Krishna. Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, that was a very nice question from Krṛṣṇa, I have to say, because I also go through that quite a bit, especially being in leadership.
I was going to say, being in the leadership position, you face that all the time.
The daily thing. But I take shelter of, my mentors. I actually, when I go through that situation, I actually go to my seniors, and some of them are proper disciples and some of them are senior in the movement. And the first thing they will ask me is, why am I bothered by it? And then my response is, because, they felt, because they feel bad, and when they feel bad, then I feel bad. Then the next question to them is, well, what did you tell them? And then I will give them the response, this is what I told them. Then they'll say, so how did you tell them? And then, depending on the situation, then I give the response, And then they said, well, is this the first time you've told them, or the second time, or the third time, or the 10th time? And then he said, if it's the first time, then you just say it, but you don't become very intense. But if it's a repeated situation, then sometimes you have to be intense. And I remember going through this with one senior devotee, I don't want to mention this devotee's name. And I told this devotee, like I've been saying this so many times. Then he said, Anasuya, that, this devotee said, what if your child does something repeatedly? Will you say it nicely? I said, no, Prabhu. He says, well, you will raise your voice. I said, yes, Prabhu. He says, well, that's what it is. So he was saying that, we have to be clear that what we are saying is for their benefit and for the benefit of us, for the benefit of others, for the benefit of Prabhupada's preaching, for the benefit of the temple, for the benefit of the devotees. That's the one aspect. And the other aspect is, if we find ourselves repeating it over and over again, then that means they are still immature. And we have to be heavy. You have to keep repeating it over until it get it. And thirdly, he says, if you have done it the right way, Anasuya, and you've said it and they don't want to listen, you have no control over their actions. Like you
Yes, we
said,
talked about that. Yeah.
it's because of their ego and their block and their stubbornness or whatever. So he says, sometimes you can lead the horse to the water, but you can't make it. So yeah. So
Yeah.
I hope that helped.
Yeah. And in that situation is when Kṛṣṇa steps in.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you've gone to all the, everything that you need to do and the person is not going to change, then Kṛṣṇa steps in.
Yeah.
And the Kṛṣṇa's, you don't want Kṛṣṇa to slap your hand, but if we put ourselves in that situation to get a slap, we're going to learn from it. We're going to learn from it. So, and it's going to be quite significant. So Kṛṣṇa is helping us. He's also the supreme parent for us. Therefore, we have to be careful in what we do. And it's best to actually end it with the manager and understand where they're coming from, so you don't have to face chastisement from the Lord, because he will, to help us. He also wants us to go back to the spiritual world, but we have to be cleaned up first. So sometimes chastisement comes, and it comes in a way where sometimes we didn't even know. We couldn't have thought of it. Then it comes, and then later on, now we're the ones that are upset, and then later on, Kṛṣṇa will slowly point it out to the Paramatma through the intelligence to tell us, this is why you have gone through this. So here is the change. You heard it earlier, you didn't take advantage of it, and now you have to present to you, like hit you in the head with it. Same thing. So we just basically make it easy on ourselves, or we can make it difficult on ourselves. As I said, spiritual life is simple for the simple and complicated for the complicated. So we should make our spiritual life complicated. Hare Krishna. Okay.
Thank you so much, Prabhu and Mataji. I think I'm feeling Krishna and Guru presence right now. And everything I needed to hear, I'm hearing right now. Thank you.
All glories to your service. It's not
All
easy
glory,
to be a leader.
all glory to your service, Prabhu. I know it is really not easy. It is very, very difficult. But yeah, it's just that sometimes we're dealing with people who don't like we said earlier. Prabhu, it goes back to the basics of guru disciple relationship. That's what it goes down to. If it depends what kind of a disciple we want to be. Do you want to be first class, second class, third class, or fourth class? And based on the level of disciple we want to be, to that extent, we get the purification. If we want to be first class the disciple, then we are going to get purified left and right. I was reading a quote by Bhaktivedanta, I think it was by Bhaktivedanta Dharma, but a couple of weeks ago, where he says that, chastisement and, it's actually mercy for us to grow fast. And the more chastisement we get, the more purified and the more we grow. So
No question about it.
Yeah, and if we want to be fourth class disciple, then we will keep on getting slaps left and right, and we will not even know we're getting slaps. In fact, we'll think that actually the other person is wrong. I'm very good. I have nothing wrong with me. It's the other person. But that's a fourth class disciple.
Yeah.
So it goes back to what kind of a disciple we want to be, and if we want to be first class, then we will get purified, we will get corrected, and we have to take the correction and see it as, okay, this is definitely a message from Kṛṣṇa. My ego is being so damn stubborn. I just need to take the shoes and knock my head or whatever it is. But yeah, but as long as it's pleasing, and as long as it's we just have to, and I think that's where it's so important, Prabhu, that we reach out to our seniors and discuss it and say, did I do it right? Did I not do it right? Did I say it right? Like I always do that, especially in leadership. I always do that. depending on the situation, if it's something really crazy, like really tough, I will really reach out to my seniors before I even execute something. And sometimes I even proofread it with them, so that it's bona fide, lack of a better word. But anyway, I think I'm done talking.
Thank you
Haribol.
very much.
Just one more. That reminded me of just one more point. Before I forget.
Sure.
Yesterday only I got corrected by His Grace Madhupati Prabhu for something, and I felt so nice about it.
Okay, wonderful. Well, if you feel nice,
I
that's
will share with you,
wonderful.
Mataji, later. It was beautiful interaction with him.
I was gonna say, please share it with me because I would love to hear it, Prabhu.
Okay, maybe off this,
Hare
you can
Krishna.
just talk about it yourself. Yeah, just have that realization that chastisement is a shortcut to purification. Chastisement is a shortcut to purification. Once you get chastised, the chastisement itself is not pleasant to face, but it points out what we've done wrong. And as soon as we get away from that, then we become a better person, which means we've been purified. Anyway, so thank you for a wonderful discussion today. Any final questions or comments? If not, then thank all of you for coming on this morning to start the weekday, with wonderful Kṛṣṇa conscious discussion. And I wish you all well the Kṛṣṇa conscious way today and the days to come. Vanchaka patarubhishta kṛpayā sindhubhya eva ca patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you again. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Go Srila Prabhupada.